Hey, welcome to our first video of 2023. We took a bit of a break over the festive period to recharge, but we're back, ready for the year ahead. And today we kick off by revisiting a core topic from 2022, RMA, RevMarketing Automation. I must just say this discussion was recorded before the Christmas break, so please forgive the odd reference. Anyway, in this discussion, we take a deeper dive into the revenue aspect of RevMarketing Automation and explore how revenue strategies can be applied directly to the hotel's website and, naturally, what the benefits of these are. To help us along and give us their valuable insights, we're joined by Cristina Blaj, founder of Open Revenue Consulting and brand ambassador for Userguest, and Alejandro Garcia, director of sales for EMEA with Duetto. Really hope you enjoy the conversation. Let's roll the intro. Hey Cristina, hey Alejandro, thank you for joining us today. Great to see you. How are you both? You well? Cristina, you doing well?
Thank you very much. Lovely to see you again, Trevor. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. No problem at all. And Alejandro, nice to meet you. Thanks for joining us today. How are things for you?
Thank you, Trevor. All good here in Barcelona. Happy to be here with you both today.
Excellent. Thanks so much. So today we're going to be doing a deep dive, I'll say that again, into the revenue aspect of revenue marketing automation. And we're going to explore how revenue management strategies can be applied directly to the hotel's website and what benefits basically these can bring, what they're all about. So, Cristina, as you're here for a Userguest, let me throw this over to you. So currently, most hotels do not apply revenue management strategies to their websites. Why is that?
I think we'll start by saying that, hotel website is really one of the most valuable assets a hotel has, really, and a place to reflect the experience of the brand and tell the story. And it usually sits with the marketing team as a communication value proposition in the websites, whilst a lot of the revenue efforts are deployed into the booking engine. So where most of the revenue strategy sits effectively. So, however, with industry-wide statistics that we're seeing, the hotel website flow-through rate to the booking engine and the conversion ratio is very, very low. So barely about 20% of the actual users that come to land on the hotel website page barely make it to the booking engine, whereas the 80% of those users, opportunity to convert them is actually lost unless there's something very personalized around that visit that enables them to, for hotels to contextualize each user's intent to buy. And what we mean by intent to buy is really understanding what is that digital footprint of each user and what they've searched for in the past, what they've booked in the past, what is their booking window, what are they looking for effectively, and what geography they come from. And if there's no particular clear call to action for that user whilst they're getting familiarized with the brand, and it really is aligned to that intent that they have to book, it's very easy to lose them effectively. So revenue marketing have a really strong role, a really key role actually in driving that performance for the hotel. But if they work separately, they both work off two different data sets and they're not really sharing each other's data in real time, it becomes really the loose link in executing, very successful strategies. So I think that's really why at the moment, most revenue strategies are not really visible.
That makes a lot of sense. Alejandro, now you're obviously here from Duetto, one of the leading RMS providers. So let me ask you this. What is the role of the RMS, the revenue management system, and how important is the marketing data to inform the revenue strategy?
Yeah. So the revenue management system, what does, it's a component that kind of integrates and links the other components or the other tech stack. So at the end, it integrates with the PMS, with the channel manager, with the CRS, with the upselling platform. And at the end, it helps to revenue managers or to the commercial teams to identify and optimize revenue opportunities. For any revenue management system, clean data and quality data is key. So at the end, we are generating outputs, we optimize, we generate recommendations, which depends on the quality of the data. If the data that we ingest is not clean or quality data, then our outputs won't be the right ones. Here, I always like to put an example like Netflix. So Netflix led the way and they showed us how to take different sources of data, consolidate them to put an offer or an experience in front of the customer that they will buy faster. Mm-hmm. Also, you will retain or you will have bigger customer retention. So at Duetto, what we do is we take all these sources of data, typical sources like historical data, like concept pricing, reviews, but we also take real-time data, transactional data, and we are capturing this demand, this forward-looking demand. It's what we call regrets and denials. Cristina has just mentioned about this buying intent, so the intent of buying. So with that specific demand on your website, on your direct website, what we can do is kind of forecast or predict which is the demand per segment or per channel that you'll have in the future for the next 365 days. Yeah. With that information, we know which is the traffic that we have. We know which are these regrets and denials, which are the lookers, clients which are doing searches but are not booking, or denials, which are those customers which cannot find availability because there's restrictions or you have no availability. With all that information, of course, that's like gold information for the marketing teams, because this information is what then will help them to really take these revenue strategies, that marketing or demand information, and really optimize it. And here I think that it's not only relevant having this marketing data for the revenue teams, but also sharing these revenue strategies to the marketing teams.
But I wanted to pick up on that, and maybe you can kind of continue the thought here. Is that I'm sure some people that have already just listened to both of you give these answers are starting to connect some of the dots, but what we try and do in any of our discussions is to make it really, really clear so that people don't have to second guess. So if we're thinking here about the benefits from a hotel's perspective, what are the reasons hotels should consider applying these revenue strategies to the direct channel? So Alejandro, can you kind of continue that train of thought and take all of that knowledge and information and data that you guys are getting and utilizing and just articulate how those benefits can be utilized? And maybe Cristina, you can kind of follow up after Alejandro and give your thoughts into that as well.
Sure. So, like revenue, as we all know, like the revenue strategy is like selling the right product, right time, right channel, etc. So that we all know. But I think that now also it's like we're all talking about profitability, about total cost, all these things. Yeah, like I think cost is really, like usually most of the times, like distribution costs or marketing costs for the direct channels are lower. So of course that has an impact at the bottom line of the hotel. So I would say cost. I will put it on the first reason why, or the benefits why we should push these revenue strategies on our direct channels. Second one, I think that personalization. We just talked about Netflix, about how when we are creating a personalized offer, the customer is buying faster. Yep. Why? Because we are also like differentiating ourselves from the competition. So we should be able to create personalized experiences, packages on our websites, which are not on the other OTAs or third-party websites. This will really differentiate us. This will create personalized offers and will let us have higher conversions and also attract some specific segments that we cannot in other channels. And if I may add a third one here, I will put customer data. So when we get an OTA booking, we don't have the details of the customer. However, If we have a direct booking, we have all their details. We might even ask them. So when we collect data and when we have our customers on our website, we have to be careful on not asking too much data so that they might not end up booking, because at the end what we want them is to book. But we can also be very transparent on, hey, if you tell me what you like, what are you gonna do? Are you coming for leisure, for business, whatever? Then we will be able also to upsell. We will be able to get this information that will let us know what the customer is interested on, and we will personalize that specific package or experience to them with their specific needs. So I would say that cost, personalization, and customer data are three of the main benefits that we get when getting direct bookings.
Makes a lot of sense. And Cristina, how would you kind of extend that or add to that or pick up from those points?
I think the excellent points that were made by Alejandro. I think just to add to that, when you bring revenue strategies into the hotel website effectively, as a hotel, you increase the opportunity to convert those users that visit the hotel website whilst they get familiar with the brand. And as we know, a lot of the marketing efforts today are very much going into investing and being present on as many outlets, as many OTAs, and have as much visibility as possible. But obviously that comes at a cost. So when you are able to leverage, the presence that you have in the OTAs, and the biggest opportunity, and when you start seeing those dividends, is when the billboard effect happens. So a user that has found a hotel on the OTA, decides to visit the hotel website to get familiarized with the brand. There's a really strong opportunity for hoteliers to show their value proposition, but actually convert that customers, on their first or second visit. So and I believe that we all agree that the direct channel has been such a big opportunity over the past couple of years for hotels, and probably the main opportunity to differentiate, the experience and make it unique, make it personalized, that Alejandro is highlighting, and just making sure it's not replicated elsewhere. And I think a lot of the behavioral data that both myself and Alejandro have been talking about is just creating that window of opportunity and visibility for hotels to really look further out into the demand to understand those trends. But also it's helping commercial teams plan much better for the future and more targeted particular campaigns and geo-targeted campaigns that they can actually do. And when you sort of add the revenue strategies into the mix of that whole opportunity to personalize navigation, to personalize that booking experience for the users, you have a really strong recipe for conversion. And how does it actually happen? It's, imagine that effectively what every single user is looking for on the one hand. And on the other hand, you also know what the priorities of hotels are, particularly around revenue, what sort of dates they need to drive more occupancy, or they have those peaks in demand that they could actually leverage to drive a higher ADR or a more of a total revenue strategy. So by matching that particular intent of the user as it comes to the hotel website with the dates that hotel needs to fill out or has those peaks of demand, the likelihood of a user clicking on a notification that has a very personal message and has that specific added value, that particular incentive, is very, very high.
Yeah, that makes sense.
By giving, all of that visibility to the revenue strategies that you're working through, what we're seeing with hotels using the RevMarketing Automation element, the RMA element of Userguest, is that they actually end up increasing their direct bookings by 40 to 60%.
Well, that's what I wanted to touch on, is kind of where, because obviously we've spoken a lot about sort of from a revenue management point of view and the RMS, and we also touched on, as you said there, RMA, so another acronym for the hotel. We love our acronyms. So I just wanted to pick up on that point as to where the RMA actually fits into this equation between the RMS and the direct channel. And I guess that links back to your point where you quoted that statistic earlier that something like 10 or 20% when they arrive are only converting. So it's, we know that the direct channel is so important to us. To your point, Alejandro, around costs, if we can be reducing the costs that we're having to pay out to third parties because we can increase that conversion on our own website, then that's advantageous. So just if you can just, Cristina, for us, just articulate where that RMA piece connects those dots for us.
I think since we have Alejandro and he represents a very powerful RMS in this conversation, I think the synergy between the RMS and the RMA, to bring together those two acronyms, it revolves very much around the revenue component, the revenue element. So that both technologies have a very clear common goal, which is to optimize that revenue, to increase that revenue. And whilst the revenue really helps define the strategy for the hotel and helps execute it seamlessly, the RMA, what it does, it brings it to the hotel website. It makes it visible on the hotel website when the user actually arrives and is keen to get to know that brand. So although the RMA and the RMS can live independently of each other, when you actually integrate them, they really power up that potential for revenue in a hotel, and it can really maximize the opportunity on the direct channel. But also, by bringing them together, you end up becoming a lot more efficient as teams and lowering that cost of acquisition. So it's a really powerful combination, basically integrating the tool, integrating the revenue with the marketing intelligence and aligning them to jointly execute, those strategies in real time, but very much automated. Yeah. So I think that's a key element for hotels. And by matching the user's intent to buy with the right offer, with the right business proposition that the RMS is providing, it ensures that the user flows through from their website to the booking engine where they actually end up completing that booking. And we see that on average, about 70% of the users do end up completing that booking on their first visit.
That's a high number, yeah.
Really high. So by applying RMA, that's basically the outcome you get. And then if the other 30% of the users don't really end up booking on their first visit, there's specific call to actions such as, saving your search and completing the booking next time you come to visit, or, you can actually capture that specific first-party data whilst the user, before they leave the website, you can get their names, their email address. So there's still an opportunity to keep very close to them in exchange for some, specific free benefits that they can offer. And it's really just about bringing that automation in both teams and aligning those revenue and marketing strategies to make the team more efficient, but also focus their attention on maximizing outcomes for hotels.
That makes a lot of sense. Let's talk a few specifics then, because we've kind of put some of these pieces together, but let's actually dive in. So I'm a hotelier, I'm watching this or I'm listening to this and I'm thinking, okay, great, but what can I actually do? What are some of the strategies? So Alejandro, let me come over to you. So what strategies could be applied? Can you give us a couple of revenue strategy examples that a hotelier could easily apply to its website right here, right now, if it was utilizing, an RMS? And obviously you're here from Duetto, but if you've got an RMS, then it still works, and with the RMA, the Userguest solution.
Yeah, so let's keep it simple, because I 100% agree with Cristina's comments about, around the importance of working marketing and revenue teams together. But at the end, it's about communicating. So we could start with a very basic revenue strategy, which is for a lower demand period, creating a non-refundable early bird with 60 days lead time. Or you can put a discount, like 15% discount. What happens if you are not sharing this with marketing, and marketing is not pushing this offer into the customers when they get into the website? They might end up going into the booking engine, doing a search, and luckily they get that offer, but just because they did the search, not because they are really informed about this. So I think that at the end, it's about informing, communicating to the customer, not only the offers, but potential upselling, room types we want to push further because we are having like lower demand on a specific room type. We could also do like an offer, like package talking about experiences, like a family package. We could create family package where we are just distributing that experience on our website. We have 4 rooms. We have rooms which have capacity for 4 people, which we want to target families. We could put like a baby bouncer or a baby cot, a potty chair, whatever we want to do, something basic, not expensive. And we could communicate this when the customer is getting into the website. So this is information. And now that I'm traveling with kids, I can tell you, I'm trying already, to plan my holidays for summer. It's so difficult to really find a place where I think that I will feel okay, I will have the equipment specific for my needs. That if you are able from the very beginning that you get into this website to communicate to this segment that you can really match their needs, I will really go into the booking engine. I'll do my search and I'll really go for that product if this is the product that I like.
Yeah, that makes a lot.
So I think it's all about communicating, about sharing these strategies with marketing, and then having the right technology to really communicate those strategies to your bookers.
That makes a lot of sense. And Cristina, some kind of tips, scenarios?
Yeah, I think a couple of very good examples given by Alejandro can be very easily displayed and made really look very attractive, through the technology of the RMA. Effectively, what hoteliers will have the ability to do is really map out what are their needs on revenue. So if they have low occupancy periods or they have specific strategies that they want to increase their length of stay, or perhaps sell a more of a ancillary package, more complete package that allows them to drive more on the total revenue. Identifying what that strategy is and giving it visibility is very simple. Effectively, you just end up setting specific scenarios, as you say, where you can have that observation period that Alejandro's highlighted. If it's 60 days before arrival, you can just put that in there and say, I'm targeting this to highlight the saving on that early bird, that non-refundable rate during these specific days. So the user will be able to see these are the days that can really take advantage of this offer. And maybe hotel could even add an additional promo code in there, or they can add free benefits like, you get your family experience, you get all those amenities that you need, but in addition, we'll also give you a free spa if you stay a minimum 3 nights stay, for example, or you can get a welcome gift on arrival or late checkout. I think the idea is identifying those priorities and really giving visibility to those users through the offers that best highlight, the experience. It could be if you're trying to highlight the savings that you can have on increasing your length of stay, for instance, you could put, an opportunity for consumers to, increase their, make their weekend a bit longer and book 3 or 4 nights and enjoy some additional exclusive benefits like a dinner or bottle of wine or breakfast or whatever that is. So I think the idea is just using those incentives to pinpoint what is the period that the hotel really needs support on or has some very strong benefits that they can provide. And, by bringing those integrations together, it just automatically can manage visibility and can apply the relevant rates from the RMS and even the relevant restrictions.
Makes a lot of sense.
During the last, if I may add quick here, I think that during the last years, I mean, the industry has really evolved on that. We all understand, and not only big chains, but smaller hotels, regional chains, about the importance of the direct channels. And we are already offering this kind of perks or benefits when booking direct, like late checkout or free breakfast, whatever. but those are very static. So those are communicated on okay, if you book direct, those are the 3, 4, 5 benefits you get. They are not really related to your needs, to revenue needs. Mm-hmm. So this is like going one step forward, like really linking these needs with your revenues, with your revenue needs, with the demand reality of your property. And I think that linking those powerful, at the end, we have the data. We talked before about Duetto, but I think here that companies without an RMS, they also have to think on how to link, that revenue team and revenue strategies with marketing. Of course, technology will help us automatize this. So I think that it's putting that extra intelligence into the equation and really start communicating those efforts to the customers.
I agree, and it sounds to me that there's a number of different elements to it, isn't it? You've got the marketing are looking and gathering a lot of information of people that are coming to the website and through the booking engine. You've got the RMS is also picking up a lot of data and information in terms of when are your quiet periods and when do you want to be driving additional offers. But there's never been, and I think the two elements that strike me is it's not just bringing those two pieces of data together, and because we've been talking about the two teams coming together and no longer working in silos. I mean, that's been spoken about for years, and COVID kind of helped drive that to happen. But I think what I've picked up is also it's about making it presentable and personalized and targeted. So it's more than just the combination of the data and then being able to say, this is what we need. It's actually saying, well, this is what we need, but how do we now present that in a way that is going to increase those conversions? So back to your point, Alejandro, if you arrived and you're searching and you saw a very specific message that was targeted towards, that identified you're looking, all the data that you provided on your journey that said to somebody, this person's traveling as a family, we know that the dates that they're looking from, the RMS is telling us that we could put a very specific offer together. We know that marketing are aware of what our key factors, what our key USPs of our hotel is, and we could put together a very personalized, targeted message for people that are like your guest persona, your guest profile, and be right, bang, here you go. And it presents it in a way that just addresses those subtle key decision, not those first things. What are my dates? What are my price points? What's my location? It's now, once I've established that, what are some of the other factors that are important to me? And it's pulling that together and presenting it in a way. So that's why it feels so powerful to me, is it's not just connecting the data like a facilitator. It's almost a conduit to get that message out there. This is a completely horrendous example, but it's a bit like, to me, it's like the way Google will tell me an accident has happened, but rather than giving me a text alert to say an accident has happened and then me having to think, what do I do about it? It flags up on Google Maps, here's another route that you could take that enables you to get to where you want to do a little bit longer, but it presents it in a way that I can consume it and is kind of picking up on very subtle, things that I want to do. I know it's a bad example, but I'm thinking more it's about illustrating the thought process that what the data is telling us and what we're seeing in the hotel, and presenting it to us in a way as a consumer we can use more effectively. Have I kind of understood how these things connect? Because I guess, Duetto or the RMS, Duetto in this case, the RMS is an incredibly powerful tool. RMA seems a really powerful tool. I mean, when they're aligned and connected, it just seems to me that it could really unlock a number of avenues. That's what I'd like you guys to just talk to for a moment, and whether I've just understood that correctly or not. Cristina, do you want to kick off on that one?
That's brilliant. That's a really good summary, actually, Trevor. And I think it just, from everything we've sort of said, you brought out the essence of why, of what opportunities hotels have to display that information, make it visible on their hotel on their websites, but also the fact that you can make your team so much more agile because they can consume that data. So all the marketing data and the revenue data, and not only that they bring it together, but they find a match and they sift through it to identify those exceptions that they can connect that user that has that intent with that need of the hotel. And that's ultimately what automation is about. It's about being able to create those campaigns on the fly, in real time, based on revenue needs and based on that intent to buy from the side of the consumer, and display it to them at the right moment in time so they can effectively consume that product and execute that that booking. And it's really automating everything that has to do with marketing and revenue campaigns in front of that user that's visiting the website. That's my way.
Alejandro, your
Yeah, and
standard summary?
yeah. So Cristina mentioned about consume data. I think it's all about having actionable data or consumable data. The RMS is giving consumable data to the revenue manager. Now it's about going this extra step, which is also providing this data to the marketing teams. So marketing teams, what they are doing is attracting demand to our websites. And then what the revenue managers do is to really get and capture the demand that they want at the right time.
Yeah.
So we really need to have this like teamwork, having these teams working together and using the same data. And I think also something really important is not about like one technology fits all. So it's not just about the technology. It's also about the brains behind this technology. So it's very important to have or to work with platforms, with tools that will allow you to really drive your revenue strategy, to be able to control, to decide what is exactly. So you have the information, you have the power on it, and you can really action it rather than having a machine telling you what to do and you cannot really take the power of it. So here as well, because like a hotel, even if it's in the same street, in the same city, each product, each hotel are completely different by destinations, seasonalities, countries, etc. Even for same hotels or different segments or origins. So it's very important that we can really have all the information so that we can then target the different segments on the right way and at the right time.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. It actually made me probably. Well, I was thinking about Google, and I'm thinking actually it's almost like a dating app. I like putting lots of data. I think you're trying to show me. You're trying to show me like these matches that are going to entice me to say, yeah, I want to. I don't know whether you swipe left or right. I really don't use these things anymore.
You actually had a great idea.
But it's like as a married man with 2 children, I don't need the dating app. But it's like I suddenly, as you guys were talking about, it's just tapping into these different elements and trying to make something that's enticing. It's a similar thing, isn't it? You give them lots of information. What are you interested in? What do you want to know? And then it's got the system, but people behind, understanding psychology, understanding people working together, and then saying, okay, this is what would match up in this kind of scenario to make it appealing. I don't know whether that's the way to end it on a dating app, but maybe I'll go back to Google Maps. Maybe that's a safer one to land on. Anyway, look, brilliant to talk with you guys. Thank you both for joining us. Really interesting to hear how the RMS and the RMA, and as you say, that data and the revenue and the marketing, but then also that automation piece, because I think to the final point is, and you mentioned it, Alejandro, we can have the data, we can have the people, we can bring these two things together, but also we have technology that can actually then go out there and simplify in all of these areas. This doesn't have to be complicated. It can be configured, it can be set up, it can be pulled together, and it can be presented in a very straightforward way that is Sounds like it could be pretty effective if it's actually built into place and integrated properly.
And to that point, Trevor, it actually requires minimal effort on the sides of the team, because all of that information is being tracked based on a simple line of code that goes into the website, goes into the booking engine, connects into the RMS. Literally, to put an RMA in place, it takes less than a day. So it's pretty quick.
Oh, okay. That's a good point to finish it on. Thanks so much to both of you for joining us. It's great to
Thank you
speak
so
with
much.
you.
Have a lovely
Thank
day.
you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Cheers, bye.
Well, I hope the first discussion of 2023 was of interest, and thanks again to Cristina and Alejandro for joining us. If you're interested in more of our videos and looking back at last year, here is a link to our Expert Insights playlist, and here is the link to our Coffee Time Chat playlist. And here is the button if you'd like to subscribe. Thanks again for watching.